For the first time in a long time, we're back with another episode of Wonderkid to Superstar, the series where we take Wonderkids in Football Manager and show you just how good they can be with the right development. Now, we had put this series on pause until FM25 came out, but because it's so far away, we thought it's about time to showcase you some new Wonderkids. But with it already being around a year since FM24 was released, we're going to be focusing on those Wonderkids that I feel like don't get enough love, that a lot of people don't know about. So we'll be looking at less mainstream Wonderkids nowadays in these videos and instead honing in on those talents from around the world that you need to give a chance to, and I'm sure you won't regret it. As normal, once I showcase the Wonderkid, we're going to bring him to a Real Madrid team and test him across the course of a simulation to see just how good he can be at maximum development, so you guys know exactly what your money will be getting you should you purchase him. But of course, as we are kind of relaunching the series here, we really would appreciate any support we can get, so get involved in the comments, let us know who you want to see in future episodes, which Wonderkids have done great for you, and smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't already to the FMSCOUT channel. Thank you to anybody who does any of those things, but now let's go and find the player. And we're heading to Brazilian side Palmeiras to find this star. Now, they are a club that have produced lots of great young players in recent years. We know Endrick came from there, of course Esteval has now made a very big move to Chelsea, but they have another great young player in their ranks that isn't talked about as much, but is a bargain, has great ability and huge potential too. So let's showcase him to you. If you go to Brazil, to Palmeiras, go to all players and search by age, you will find a 16-year-old by the name of Riquelme Felipe. Straight away you can see this guy has already got some great attributes that we'll talk a little bit more about in a second, but just to give you the basics, he's going to cost you around £1 million. He's a future prospect at Palmeiras, only in the under-20s team, so it's not like he's made a wave in first team football just yet in game, and he has some great potential. His potential range is 140 to 170, so when you load up a save, it will be randomised between those numbers. If you get him on the lower end of that potential, you're still getting a Premier League level winger, and on the higher end, you are looking at one of the world's best in his position. And just a spoiler alert for later, this guy at full growth is insane. But let's take a look at what he's got going for him straight away. He is a left winger, primarily using his right foot with great finishing ability for his age, good long shots, passing technique, and some good physical attributes as well, combined with some nice flair and determination. Now, if you're looking at a role for him, I don't think winger would be best considering he's preferring his right foot, so I think certainly inside forward would suit him perfectly, and you can see as soon as it highlights the attributes he'd need for that position, he already looks very good. There are some weaknesses to his game, but in terms of what we need to play on that left hand side, cutting in and scoring goals, he's got it down to a T. But now of course it's time to bring him over to Real Madrid and show you exactly how we're going to set him up for success. So let's start off with the tactic that we're going to be using. It's a 4-3-3 gegenpressing system, and we've got Riquelme Felipe as the inside forward on the left hand side, exactly where I said I was going to play him. Hopefully in this position he can create chances for the other teammates around him, but also score plenty of goals himself. Now, you might look at his star ratings and think he doesn't look great. Don't worry, don't judge these will change completely as the simulation goes on, and just as a general Football Manager tip, don't judge these star ratings too much. Look at the attributes on the screen and that will tell you how good a player is. Now, I use the editor to bring him over. A lot of the time in your saves, you might not be able to get him early on. He might want to continue his development at Palmeiras, so you might have to give it some time. But either way, keep a scout on him, and when you're ready, bring him into your team, and you will have a very good player. Now, training-wise, as always, I'm keeping the additional focus blank, but I'm going to make some suggestions for you lot. In terms of the position and role, make sure you're training him on whatever role you're using, and as mentioned, I think inside forward suits him perfectly. But for the additional focus, I know a lot of people always think that it's a kind of cop-out when I choose it, but I think it's a great choice in this case. That is final third, because decision-making composure is quite low here. If we can get that up, that's really going to help him. And it's not like we need to focus on his passing, his finishing. He's got all that down to a T, and his physicals are great as well. So give it some time, and he is going to blossom into a brilliant player. Remember, he is only 16 here, and he'll have some huge growth between now and the ages of about 20-ish, where we're going to see him improve into hopefully one of the world's best. Speaking of the world's best so, he is being mentored by some of those, Valverde, Nacho and Luka Modric, trying to rub off their personalities on the youngster, and as you can see, it's having a significant impact, so hopefully over time we can force their personality onto Riquelme Felipe here. So now it's time to simulate a few years ahead, see how he's getting on, and see what he would look like on the lower end of that potential ability if you got a worse version of him. Now, just to point it out, in this save, I only have the Spanish division loaded in terms of playable league, but I did add Brazilian players to my database, so if you don't see him in your game, it might be because you don't have a big enough database to include him, but I would always suggest add Brazilian players to your databases when you set up a save, because there is some gems out there. But as you can see, the year is now 2027. We are 4 years into the future, I believe now, from when we originally started this simulation. Riquelme Felipe is around 20 years of age, and already, I mean, he looks like he was certainly worth that £1 million investment. So let's take a look at him. As you can see, he is now 20 years of age. He is valued at around 100 million, and he is fitting in with all of those brilliant Brazilians already at Real Madrid. Let's start with the technicals, where he is exceptional already. He could actually be a very good striker, to be honest, as an advanced forward, but on the left hand side he's got 16 finishing, decent crossing, really good first touch and dribbling, long shots, passing and technique of a very high level. His vision does need some work, but we can forgive that because his work rate is great. His off the ball work is decent as well. The flair, the determination, the decision making is still there, and as you can see, his personality has improved over the years thanks to that training that we've been giving him and the mentoring. The composure and the anticipation is up, and those physical attributes are looking great at this stage. 15s and 14s in a lot of areas do bode well for the future, and I'm sure it won't be too long before he's got some bright greens in that area, but already we can see he's doing really well. And just to let you know, this isn't even him at his minimum potential. His current ability right now is sitting at about 135, so even if you got the worst version of Riquelme Felipe, he will be better than what you're seeing here if you develop him, and that is key. Of course, if he sits at Palmeiras and doesn't play, he won't develop, and that will affect him, so make sure you are giving him game time, loaning him out, playing him wherever you can. Of course, in this simulation, I've been asking the assistant to play him as often as possible, and you can see it has worked really well. In Season 1, he obviously took a little bit of time to get used to the country. He only played 21 times, scored 2. The reason he only played 21 is because he got registered for the first half of the season, but after that, the assistant decided he wasn't good enough, but he soon proved him wrong, because next year, he was registered. He got 12 goals and 12 assists, followed it up with 13 goals and 15 assists, and then this season, even better, 17 goals, 15 assists, pretty much a goal contribution every single game at this point, with a 7.38 average match rating and 6 man of the match awards. Now remember, this is him nowhere near his best. This is him currently not even at his worst, so it tells you just how good he can be. He only costs around £1 million. Obviously, a few years later in your save, he might be a little bit more, but nowhere near the value that he's worth now of 100 mil. So let's now simulate ahead to see just how good he can look on the maximum end of that potential. And he is developed into an absolute monster, but before I show you him, just to let you know, I do have my own channel linked in the description down below if you want to go and check that out. We do other videos about Wonderkids, some YouTube shorts that you might find useful, some Wonderkids that maybe aren't this good but are still definitely worth taking a look at, and we do some Football Manager rebuilds, so any support over there will be massively appreciated as we try and close in on 50k subs. But let's see just how good Felipe looks. And I told you, don't worry about those star ratings, because as you can see, age 27, even though his maximum predicted potential was like 3.5 stars, he is considered one of the best players at the club and in the world. He's still valued at about 120 million with 3 years left on his contract. He's 27, a Brazilian international with 5 goals in 20 appearances off that left flank. But look at those attributes, look how good they are. So many great attributes in there. The pace, the stamina, of course, the acceleration and agility are also great too. The mental attributes are really well balanced now. The vision has gone up, the work rate's great off the ball, flair, decision making, composure, but it's that holy trinity there of dribbling, finishing and first touch, all at 17, 15 long shots, 15 passing, 17 technique, 14 crossing. This guy is one of the world's best. He is still got the same personality as he had before, but if we have a look in game, he has been tearing it up. After we last saw him, he then went on to have some brilliant seasons, the best ones coming pretty recently in 2031, where he scored 18 goals and assisted 20, then the year after 14 goals and 24 assists. Now do bear bear in mind, he is a wide player here, so his numbers are great for that position. If you did convert him into a striker, you can see how good he would be. He would score a ton of goals, so he is definitely worth that initial investment. But before we see if he won any awards, let's quickly simulate to the end of his career to see how he got on. And here he is. He did actually stay at Real Madrid the whole time. As you can see, his physicals have got worse over the years, but his technicals and mentals have got even better. He is going to go down as one of the world's best wingers. 9 goals in 33 Brazil appearances. Still a phenomenal talent. Even at that age, he hasn't declined all that much, to be honest, and could play for a lot longer if he wasn't choosing to retire. You can see some of the seasons he had were unbelievable, particularly in those years after we last saw him, where he starts getting 7.5 average match ratings on a regular basis. 30 goal contributions a season in a lot of years, if not 30, then maybe 25, 26 in some years. So a really, really good talent, someone that is definitely worth the money, but let's see if he won any awards. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he did. No Ballon d'Or for him. There was a year where he came just behind Evan Ferguson and Ryan at Brazil, but most of the time it was Endrick finishing above him, being the striker in the team. He was getting a lot of the goals from the assists that were being provided from our man Riquelme Felipe. So I feel like we kind of made Endrick good here, but outside of that, nothing really of note. Vinicius and Bellingham winning it in that year, so unfortunately no win for our guy. But look, he won so many trophies. He won the European Golden Boy, the Spanish League's Young Player of the Year, the Spanish League Player of the Year, World Footballer of the Year, runners-up twice, won the European Men's Player of the Year award, Golden Ball third place, was runners-up for World Player of the Year. So he was always one of the best players in the world, just never quite the best. But you know what? For £1 million, I don't think anyone could complain. What a player, what a star. Check him out in your save. I've been Jake with Wonderkid to Superstar, and this was Riquelme Felipe.